if you're looking to start a window cleaning business, or you've already bought the equipment and secured a few clients but aren't quite breaking through to that level where you can buy some freedom back for yourself, this episode is for you. The hardest part of starting a cleaning business in the beginning is just feeling like you've got your feet underneath you, to be honest. Getting that initial flow of clients that are looking for your services can feel like monumentally challenging when you're starting out, and it's made more intense by whatever financial obligations you might have. So if you've got bills to pay, or a wife and or kids to feed, and you're still trying to take a day or two off of a week, you've got a lot to balance and figure out when you're first getting your business off the ground. So welcome to Clean for Profit. My name is Colby, and in case you're new here, this is what you need to know. I've been in this position more than once after launching multiple times in different markets. I've had big wins and monumental failures in trying to get my service business off the ground. So today we're going to talk about what I would do if I was launching my window cleaning business today in order to get to that point of stability as quickly and smoothly as possible. So I'm going to make a pretty radical claim here. There's two angles that I want to attack this at. The first one is like kind of a mindset and also where you want to be before you even start. And then I'm going to get a little bit more into the practical, strategic side of things. Of like, here's what to actually try, here's how to try it, and here's how to know what's winning. But to start off on the kind of mindset and financial side of things, a lot of guys start off broke when they're looking to, like when they first make that jump into getting their window cleaning business started. And I'm going to make a pretty radical claim here, and some of you are going to click off of this podcast when I do it, but that's okay. Having done this several times, I know which makes the most sense. And that is, when it comes to starting your business, you want to have at least a few months of savings before quitting your current job. Trust me, the most effective way to kill your business before it even gets its legs underneath it is to burn the boats too soon, essentially. I'm all for burning boats, don't get me wrong, but not before you get your damn supplies off the boat. I guess that's my caveat to that. This is going to look totally different for everybody. If you're single and like living with your parents, buying some food, paying them a few $100 a month for rent, maybe you can probably jump ship from whatever job you're currently working when you have like $3,000 to $5,000 saved up. If you're closer to my position and you have a few kids and a stay-at-home wife, you're gonna need more, trust me. If you're in that position, you know that. I know, like for me, if I was looking to start my business today and I was working a job, I would want to have no less than like $18,000 to $30,000 saved up as a financial cushion before fully jumping ship from a steadily paying job. Now, again, you don't need to take my advice, obviously, and your risk tolerance might be more or less aggressive than mine, but the fastest way to fail at this business will be to jump ship too early and have to come back to working a day job because you didn't give yourself enough runway to begin with, which is super frustrating because sometimes you have to go back to that job right before you start making real progress, which is what would have allowed you to not go back to that job. And so you want to have that margin, both financially and just be able to have your time available to pour into launching your business in a way that's aggressive enough to make it something that makes you financially independent and independent from an employment standpoint as well. So the biggest thing here is when you launch, it's going to take time to learn what does and doesn't work in your business to earn business. So in my opinion, you should have no less than 3 months of runway before you cut off your main source of financial income. And 3 months is an absolute minimum and should be saved on top of any initial investment into the business you're going to make. So early on in this podcast, I mean, this is just illustrated by this. I had a guy reach out to me. We just had a few podcast episodes out asking about how to get started. And I just asked him what his situation was. We were on a phone call. And he then told me that he was living out of a hotel and trying to start his business out of his Honda Accord, which, like, I respect that deeply. But I mean, basically what I told this guy is he needs to do himself a favor and get his feet under him more with steady work that's predictable instead of getting after the business right away. The main point here is you don't want to add more stress to your life if you're already in a rough position like that. If you're struggling to pay bills, if you're living paycheck to paycheck, like I know on one hand, this is a great way to long-term get out of that position, but don't cut off your supply of finances before this can do at least 100% of paying your bills. But I mean, in reality, 150 to 200% of like what your standard bills are is what you should be making in your business if you're going to be able to pay taxes, pay for all of your bills, and reinvest into the company at a minimum. So like, if you want to actually go after this, you deserve to give this the best shot that you can, I guess is my point here. And I know this because it's happening to me right now. I've gotten to a place in my window cleaning business where things are pretty steady and we have 2 to 3 technicians in the field at any given time. I'm interested in helping other cleaning businesses get to this point where they have options and freedom, and I'm going to be doing that through this podcast, potentially through coaching, and especially through helping businesses get their online presence dialed in with great websites and marketing automations that make them better operators and help them win more deals. And I say all of this because this is going to take more time than I'm currently spending on it right now to develop. Like, getting an initial clientele is going to take a while. And I've been priming the pump a little bit with this podcast, but before long, it's going to be its own business. So I've saved up financially, and I'm working on getting my technicians on their own routes so I can step off the truck and have time to work more on my business, on my next business venture. But if I had jumped ship right into doing this full time 6 months ago, for example, I wouldn't have a window cleaning business, and I'd be desperate to make this whole podcast thing even work in the first place. Instead, I took a step back, and I'm getting the window cleaning business to run itself more and more every week. And now when I have a day to work on this side of things, I'm not working from a place of immense pressure or diverted focus. I'm working from kind of a place of abundance. I took, 60 minutes to write out this script about an hour ago for this podcast, and now I'm recording it, and it's the middle of the day on a Wednesday. Is it Wednesday or Thursday? It's Thursday. And I'm recording a podcast, and I'm not cleaning any windows today, and we're going to do $2,000 in revenue today, which is an amazing feeling. If this was me 6 months ago, I would have been recording this in spite of myself, kind of, because I would have felt like I have to be out in the field getting productive work done. So anyways, let's shift towards talking about strategy, because we're going to talk about how to get to $20,000 months. And this is where it actually comes into play. But I just wanted to make sure that your head's in the right space, because I talk to guys all the time that are starting their businesses that they have to make it work. And it's amazing to make it work. You want to make it work, but when you have to make it work, that can be a great pressure for some people, and they're all the more like they have that fire all the more because they have no plan B. But dude, if you've got stakes that go beyond yourself, you have to be able to not pull your hair out if things don't work right away. And launching a business like this takes a little bit of time. So you want to have some margin bought for yourself. That's my whole point here. So let's talk about how to actually do it. So from a high level, here's what I've seen work in my business time and time again. We're going to talk about specific methods, but here's the general approach to getting up to $20,000 months. Go prospecting to find where the gold is, and then mine those deposits as deeply as you can. So I live in California, which if you don't know is home to the gold rush that occurred in the 1840s and 1850s. A massive amount of gold was found in this region of California, and it was the primary reason that California's population grew during that era. And So what miners would do when they were looking for gold is they would go down to the river to prospect, which is like surveying and testing large amounts, like large swaths of areas besides the river. Then if they found gold and promising looking deposits, they would bring their equipment in and dig as much gold as they could for as long as they could out of that specific area. So I bring up this point because you want to do the same thing in your business, right? When you're mining, it makes sense, because if you don't want to be digging where there isn't gold, and once you find an area that's rich in gold, you want to get as much value out of that area as you can. So the same thing works for marketing. In the early days of growing your business, you need to be trying many things at the same time, prospecting and looking for signals to dig deeper. So I'm talking knocking doors, putting up door hangers, posting in local Facebook groups, postcards, next door posting, having your Google business profile and a website with good SEO setup, running meta ads, running next door paid ads, maybe trying Thumbtack and Thumbtack ads, Google LSAs. This is a lot, I know, but the point is that there are people that will tell you one or all of these work in every single market, and that simply isn't true. There's no silver bullet when it comes to marketing. When I first started my business, postcards were what hit the best right off the bat. I liked them because I could target houses that I wanted to, and the response rate was reasonable. It was like 2 to 4%. And in recent years, I've found postcards hardly work at all in my market. I mean, I'm getting response rates that are like half of 1% in some cases. The first market that I started in, next door posting, like organic, just posting to the local next door community, hardly worked at all. And then we moved to market B, and next door posting alone produced all of my business for the few years that we lived in that area, with the exception of the occasional lead coming in from my website and Google business profile. And the same goes for Facebook. There were great results in Market B and hardly anything in Market A, although testimonial posts in Facebook groups have worked really well. But self-promoting posts like hardly moved the needle. Door hangers, we've tried a lot of door hangers too. We've put probably 7,500 up in 2026 alone, and they're mediocre in my market. The response rate is pretty low, and they get people that are price shopping. Like most of the clients that call just want a price over the phone, and they care a lot about, they're getting a price from you and they're calling 3 other companies to see who says the lowest price, and they hire that company, which those aren't really clients that I want to work with. Our clients know that we're not the cheapest, and they hire us anyway, and they hire us year after year after year, which is awesome. And door knocking, while I'm sure that it could be a great strategy if done well, it's not something that I have any interest in doing. Maybe unless it really came down to the wire of like eat or knock doors. But my point with all of this is that every market is different, and you need to try each of these enough to have some data. And how many times is enough times? I mean, it's multiple touches with each. So we'll take a few examples here, and here's why I'm illustrating these examples. People do things like knock doors. They'll go knock 25 or 50 doors, and they won't get anybody to close. They won't land any deals, and they'll say, okay, door knocking just doesn't work. They'll buy 100 or 500 postcards, or door hangers rather, and they'll go put them up, and no one calls back, and they say, well, that doesn't work, I guess. Door hangers just aren't the thing. 100 postcards, no responses. Okay, postcards don't work. They suck. None of these are giving it a fair shot. So, I mean, if you do door hangers, for example, 3 passes through the same neighborhood over 3 months, this is an easy one, man. I mean, pick a residential area. If you're near suburbia, at least 1,000 homes is what I would say, and hit all of the doors in the first week of the month. Then go back for the first week of the second month and the first week of the third month. That way you've had 3,000 door hangers go up 3 times for each door. Simple. While this is happening, get your Facebook and Nextdoor profile set up and bookmark on your computer your profile, your Facebook profile, draft the posts into that profile, and then copy and paste that into Nextdoor and all the local Facebook groups that you can, and just make sure that you're checking group rules first. That's important. But this is a great way to make one post in like 3 minutes and post it to half a dozen different spots. Doing that once a week at least is something that you'll want to do simultaneously as well. And then maybe postcard mailing if you have some money to invest. Same deal though, 200 to 1,000 homes and a minimum of 3 touches over 3 months. I like postcards. You know, they don't, like I said, we've tested them again in our market and they don't work too well. But the cool thing is you can target whoever you want. Like we have some really high-end homes in our market. I'm talking houses that are 10 to 18,000 square feet, and landing one of those represents, you know, sometimes $2,400 to $4,400 worth of window cleaning or gutter cleaning or whatever it is. And so investing into postcard mailing services for a home like that, or for homes like that, especially since you can filter for size of homes, makes the lower conversion rate sometimes more worth it, because you can be hyper targeted and really just go trophy hunting with those. As you do these things, like we're not doing this because we're going to do all of this for forever, although you could. But as you do these things, you'll find that some of them flop and others do quite well. And once you have an idea of what that is, just do 10 times the amount that you started with of that thing and see how deeply you can mine that spot. Now, 10 times is, you know, a bit of an exaggeration for a lot of things, like postcards, for example. If postcards hit for you, take that as far as you can. Like go from doing 1,000 postcards a month to 5,000 or whatever. As long as it keeps working, keep doing it. We did this with meta ads earlier this year, man. We started with an ad. I'm actually filming some new ad creatives today after I film this. We started with like $25 a day, and that worked. We were getting a lead or two a day, and I just kept pouring gasoline on that fire, and I got to the point where I was spending almost $200 a day, which, you know, that's $1,000 every work week. What, $1,400 a week. I'm not very good at math, excuse me. And that feels like a lot, because it is. I mean, it's almost $6,000 a month in ads, but we were getting dozens of leads every single day. So, I mean, that's like one of the primary reasons why we did almost $45,000 in May or June. I'm forgetting. I don't have my dashboard up. Apologies. You know, obviously, if something like Nextdoor ads, or Nextdoor posting rather, works, you don't want to spam that too crazy, or else it'll have the opposite effect. But, you know, when I was living in Market B, that's all that I did, bro. For 3 years, I made one Nextdoor post a week. I wasn't even that consistent. Like sometimes I would go a week without doing it. And that just on its own over, you know, 18 months had us at $20,000 months, which is crazy. But it works, man. There's something in your market that works if you're consistent and if you do it right. I can't tell you what that is. You need to experiment and try that yourself. And so that's why we prospect a large area. And then once you hit gold, you dig as deeply as you can into that spot, and take out what you can. And no matter what, do this. There's a few things that you will want to do basically no matter what, because these work long-term in 9 out of 10 markets, and they work long-term. So the sooner that you do them, the better, because it compounds over time. The first one is on day one. You need to have your Facebook page up. You need to have a Google business profile, and you need to be like Yelp profile is good too. And you need to be getting reviews as soon as possible, especially on your Google business profile. Your A1 mission should be to get 100 reviews as quickly as you possibly can on your Google business profile, which will put you ahead of a lot of your competition locally. You know, there's some of you guys are out in like Dallas, Fort Worth, or other major cities where there's plenty of businesses that have 500 plus reviews. But even with that, man, getting 100 reviews in most markets will put you in the top 5 to 10%. And in the in a large amount of markets will put you at number 1 in terms of review count, which is a super powerful place to be. So capture your happy clients on your review page as soon as possible. I didn't do this for years, and I'd be way further. We're about to hit 200 5-star reviews on our Google profile. We'd be at 300 or 400 probably by now if I had been more systematic about this. Speaking of systematic, automate your review capture via SMS as quickly as possible. If you want more info on that, I talked in depth about how we do that in the last podcast. Just go back and find that. We did over 170 5-star reviews over the last 18 months, 24 months rather. So, and that's happened primarily because we've automated it. We've taken the human tendency to make excuses not to do things out of capturing reviews, and that's been for the better. Second thing you should do no matter what is get a website with good SEO practices up as soon as possible. Good headers, mobile optimized, good verbiage on the site itself, so on-page SEO. This is going to allow you to rank on Google long-term. It's going to allow you to rank on ChatGPT and Gemini long-term, which is becoming more and more important. And this is your money printer long-term, because when people are looking for the service, you just show up long-term if you're doing the right things there. And it attaches to your Google business profile as well. So as you get more reviews, as you have more activity going on your GBP, your website's going to get recommended more and more as well. And then branding and uniforms. This doesn't necessarily relate super directly or closely to prospecting, but it does build confidence both in you and in your prospective clients. When you've got a nice clean hat and a nice clean uniform, it doesn't have to be anything super fancy. We still wear cotton t-shirts, and we just have regular Richardson hats with some embroidery in them. But they look good. You feel good when you wear them, and it calls you to a higher standard, and it makes your clients see a higher standard in your business as well, which is going to increase your close rate. It's going to increase your clients' trust in you, and it's just better altogether. So anyways, I just wanted to give a high level idea of what we've done. I've gone from $0 months to $20,000 months, and now $40,000+ months, 3 different times. And these are the kind of the 2 things really that I think have worked and have given me the most peace of mind while growing as quickly as possible, is like having enough financial cushion so that you can still eat next month if you don't get a ton of work. That is going to, the worst thing to happen is you die before your business gets off the ground. If your business dies before it gets business, then you don't have a business, obviously. So don't put yourself in more risk than you need to be by not being ready financially for what you're about to endeavor on. And then prospect widely, and then mine deeply, because there is a strategy out of the many, many, many different strategies that you can approach. It's not prescriptive. Trust me, there's plenty of gurus that are going to tell you that there's one thing that you can do that will secure you the maximum amount of business in the shortest amount of time. And it's just not true, man. I will never, I have this offer that I'm working on to help other cleaning businesses get their websites and their SEO and their marketing automations dialed in. And I will never tell any of my clients, we'll get you 100 leads in 100 days, because that's just not, it's not realistic. There's certainly situations where that might happen. But it's not realistic to say yes, this specific thing works 100% of the time for everybody. There's no silver bullet, and you need to try a wide variety of things relatively intensely to get signals on what is working. And then when you're getting signals that something is working, you can drop or put on maintenance mode everything but that thing and just dive as deeply into it as you possibly can and see how far it'll take you. That will absolutely, there's a winning prospecting method out of this list of things that I mentioned in your market that will get you to $20,000 months. So go out there, try a bunch of them, see what works, and then get after it as hard as you can until you hit that mark. So thanks so much for listening, guys. This has been Clean for Profit, and we will talk to you next week.